Yeah, what is good, Shadow Squad? Welcome back to another video. If y'all new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. As well as my thread and everything. I always post stuff there. And yeah, check out my previous video. We back here with another reaction. And we're gonna react to MMA is Gable Stevenson's last chance. Now, I ain't gonna lie. Ever since I heard that Gable Steveson got signed to the WWE, I did my research on him, which I didn't really have to because it was so obvious what they were gonna do. Oh, hey guys, we signed an Olympic, a gold Olympic medal winner of the Olympics, or you know what I mean. Like, he won an Olympic, he won a gold medal in the Olympics, and what was it, freestyle wrestling in the heavyweight division. So we know what that means. Oh, we're gonna do the Kurt Angle thing again. And he was such a weird thing because he literally got teased with the Hurt Business, right? Like, remember the Hurt Business? They teased with him. Then they teased that he could join. Then he got drafted to Raw. We never saw him. Then he popped up with Kurt Angle. Then he had a WrestleMania spot, I think. And then, like I said, he did something with Kurt Angle. Like, I think he poured milk on somebody. And then he went to NXT for like a few weeks. And then yeah, that's all I can remember. I think he had one weird match with Baron Corbin, and then it just didn't work out. So we here to watch what happened after that, because I did try to keep up with his career, because I'm like, okay, he's a freestyle wrestler. Because when he left, I heard, if I remember right, he signed a contract with an NFL team. I think it was the Buffaloes, and they released him like a couple weeks later. So yeah, and he obviously did not give me vibes that he was going to go to the Indies. He just didn't give me those vibes. So I said, yeah, this dude's going to have to go to MMA. He went back to his wrestling thing, but he lost against a dude and he went viral for that. But I'm like, yeah, homie, his last hope is MMA. And there's a video about it because he just had his first MMA fight. I still haven't watched it. I know he won, but yeah, let's see what this video is going to talk about and keep up with Gable Steveson and stuff. So yeah, let's see what we got here.
With just a single mixed martial arts win, Gable Steveson has become one of the top heavyweight prospects in the world. At this point, it's just a matter of time until the UFC signs him. But before that happens, I want to give you the full rundown on Gable Steveson, his wrestling accolades, his failures, his missteps, all of it. For a start, he is one of the most decorated American wrestlers alive. Gold medals at the Olympics, Pan Ams, U20s and U17s, NCAA Division I championships, Big Ten championships. The guy is a freak athlete who had a great wrestling career, but recently he's tried to diversify a little bit and it hasn't quite gone his way. He got signed by the WWE in 2020 and made a few appearances here and there for the next 4 years while also continuing his college wrestling career. During this period of time, there was a bunch of scheduling conflicts, and internal WWE reports from the time labeled him as someone who just didn't have it. He was supposed to be the next Kurt Angle or even Brock Lesnar, but
that's the fucking problem when WWE keeps signing these Olympic wrestlers or even amateur wrestlers. They always want to make them fucking the next freaking Kurt Angle, like Jack Swagger, Chad Gable, Jason Jordan. Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. Well, no. Yeah, I can use Jason Jordan. They made him his son. God damn it. I was gonna say they're more like American Top Team, but they made him Kurt Angle's son. Yeah, that motherfucker. They were trying to make him freaking the next Kurt Angle. You know, the guys like Swagger, guys like Gable, Steveson, guys like freaking Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, the Creed brothers, everybody just they trying too hard with this fucking Kurt Angle shit. No, just let it be.
he just wasn't charming. And being a freak athlete can make up a lot for a lack of personality. personality,
Mm.
but he just didn't have the kind of athleticism that made him good at professional wrestling.
Right.
He wasn't super coordinated, and as previously mentioned, he wasn't around a lot. When he first got signed, he said that he had been dreaming of this opportunity since he was a kid, but he didn't really act like it. Again, he didn't show up very often because of other obligations, but word on the street was that he also had a bit of an attitude problem when he was training at the Performance Center. You know, professional wrestling is a really weird business. There's only so many spots and so much TV time. So an outsider coming in, getting such a big focus, especially when he wasn't fully committed, did create some hostility among the locker room, and it eventually spread to the fans as well. People kind of got sick of him just showing up every once in a while, being a big deal, and then eventually...
Me personally, it wasn't that I was sick and tired of him showing up once in a while. I'm like, it was more like, what is he gonna do? Like, what's his purpose? Like, okay, cool, you're back, but like, what are you gonna do now? That was my issue.
leaving again. He was chased out of town on May 3rd, 2024, and on May 31st, 2024, he signed a 3-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. It was the football equivalent of stunt casting, but maybe it could work out. He's a big guy, a freak of nature, athletic, explosive, and a good double leg could hypothetically take you pretty far as a defensive lineman. One problem, though, he's never played football before. So as you can imagine, a 3-year deal didn't even last 3 months, as he was released 2 weeks before the season started. As far back as 2023, Gable Steveson has been associating with John Jones.
How do you manage to have a worse NFL career than Brock Lesnar?
He helped him prep a bit for both Cyril Gahn and Stipe Miocic. John has also helped Gable with the preparations for his MMA debut, which we'll touch on in a bit here. He got him all set up with Greg Jackson. I can certainly think of worse people to get coached by, and that's where this photo comes from, hanging out with John Jones and Gordon Ryan, which, in context, looks really bad. Because everybody knows about John's issues. Some people know about Gordon's issues. Famous quotes include,
if Gordon's that one dude that does jiu-jitsu but takes mass steroids, then yes, I know about him. If that's not him, then I'm thinking about somebody else.
Homeless people don't deserve food, but not many people know about Gable's issues. A little legal disclaimer. Know about Gordon's issues. Famous quotes include, homeless people don't deserve food, but not many people know about Gable's issues. A little legal disclaimer here. These are
accusations. I think it was battery or something like that to a female, which was a big reason why he got released by the WWE as well. So, if I remember,
all accusations from different parties with different points of view. I'm putting the information out there so that you, yes, you can make your own decision. First off, we only have vague details because the case never actually hit a courtroom, and the official police reports have been sealed away. So we really only have brief statements from the DA and Gable's lawyer. On June 18th, 2019, Gable allegedly sexually assaulted a girl. She goes to the hospital and called the police the next day to report it.
That's crazy. I thought it was like battery or like he beat up a female. Nah, he got accused of SA. Oh, yo, this whole time I thought, oh, this motherfucker beat up a female. Nah, he got accused of SA. Yo, that's how the fuck did I miss that? Yo, this whole time, ever since he's been released for WWE, he's been released for a while. I'm thinking like, oh shit, he got accused of beating up a female. It was an SA. Oh, yo, I'm not even. But yo, what the fuck?
And Gable, as well as one of his Minnesota State teammates, are arrested. The police do an investigation, and 6 months later, the charges are dropped. But where things get really weird is the aforementioned statements of the DA and Gable's lawyer. The DA said that there are differing versions of the events that took place, and that they weren't going to pursue it because it was unlikely that they would meet the Minnesota state requirements for a conviction. Legal fees cost a lot, and the cons kind of outweighed the pros, not necessarily because there was a lack of concrete evidence of the event or that the crime was committed, but because of a potential loophole in Minnesota law. Basically, Minnesota at the time had a statute that said if a person willingly drank themselves into mental impairment, consent was basically implied after that because they consented to getting intoxicated, and it carried over. It was an incredibly strange situation that when people got a hold of it, it baffled legal scholars. It was so strange that this, along with a few other cases, got the law changed by September of 2021 after a surprisingly long process to do so. But this case was commonly brought up in that discussion as one that should have went further, but was decidedly not pursued because they thought that they couldn't get a conviction, even though they thought they could get all the way up to it, and then they would just get stopped at like the 10-yard line for a goofy ass football reference. Gable continues to say that he is 100% innocent. His lawyer says that the loophole wouldn't have changed the outcome. And I'm sort of torn on this because we don't have the details publicly available. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want you to jump to conclusions. It's a he said, she said case, but instead of Gable and the victim in the courtroom, it's his lawyer and the DA talking with the media, because that was the law at the time. They can't go back and reopen the investigation in court proceedings, so we'll probably never know the truth. If it was just a woman kind of coming out of the woodwork, I think that it would probably happen later. Like, she wouldn't tell her story until after Gable was famous. He wasn't a household name until 2020, 2021, when he actually went to the Olympics. In Gable's defense, he doesn't have a history of any sort of behavior like this, any creepy behavior. There's no other tells. So take everything with a grain of salt, but understand that it's a possibility. And the Minnesota DA seemed to be really sure that.
I'm trying not to pause it, but I want to say this. In the environment that I was raised, you will learn that if you see someone being a piece of shit, you know they're a piece of shit. And you won't be surprised for the things they say or do. But when you meet someone that's really, really nice and they put on this performance of being a nice, caring person, you're so in shock to find out they're the most disgusting, sickest, most cruel type of people you ever meet. And I have met those type of people a lot growing up. I'm not even trying to be funny. So again, we don't know what happened, but I always say this: if someone's a little too nice, you freak me out, because the chances are you're probably the most fucked up human being ever, or you have a past. Again, I'm not saying that about Gable Steveson, but just putting that out there.
In any other state, they would be able to convict him. Major bummer. You know who's not a bummer? Craig Jones. Gable Steveson has recently been in the news for better reasons than criminal accusations, but it's still not great. Let's start with a brief timeline of Gable, CJI, and LFA, shall we? On April 1st, he was booked to compete against Craig in the main event of CJI 2, which was supposed to take place on August 31st. August 19th, he gets officially booked for LFA 217 on September 12th. He ends up pulling out of CJI 2 on August 25th due to turf toe. Now, turf toe is a joint sprain that affects your ability to push off the ground in any really meaningful way. It's more common in football, soccer, basketball, baseball, heavy running sports. Not so common in wrestling or jiu-jitsu. So there is a piece of me that feels like Gable kind of just looked up an injury that would take him out of CJI while also only lasting 2-3 weeks. So he would be healed up miraculously just in time for his MMA debut. There's also a little bit of outside pressure potentially from the UFC, as LFA is a feeder promotion that's also on Fight Pass. It's very intertwined with the UFC. A decent number of high-level fighters have gone through there, especially if they get a belt and a title defense or two. Godinez, Royval, Moreno, Cortez Acosta, and Hernandez have all been champions there and are top contenders in the UFC now. It's going to open up a lot of doors moving forward, but I'd rather that he be honest about it. Gordon Ryan, as we've established, is a bitch. A certified bitch, to be precise, and he sort of admitted that Gable just pulled out for the UFC. He called it a, quote, baller move by the UFC for Gable to pull out, and made fun of Craig Jones for not putting a pull-out clause in Gable's contract. So they also potentially sabotaged CJI 2, the only real competitor for their UFC BJJ league. There is this sort of fight for the future of BJJ. On one side, you have Craig, who wants to keep it independent, free from monopolies, and without these crazy exclusivity contracts, whereas the UFC wants to UFC-ify jiu-jitsu with the Ultimate Fighter in BJJ form, and one event per month, and belts and rankings. I think that both have a place in the landscape right now, with the consistent events from the UFC, and then CJI effectively being a WrestleMania or a Super Bowl type event with massive prizes and a focus on entertainment value and kind of goofy stuff. But the UFC very much wants to snuff it out and build a monopoly in that sport. Gable has seemingly picked his side alongside John Jones, Gordon Ryan, and the UFC. In his MMA debut, he fought Braden Peterson, who is 1-0 as a pro and 4-1 as an amateur. He's also 31, not a super jacked heavyweight, and he looks like Kyle from Fortnite. But that's besides the point. There are certainly better opponents to face in your debut, but this is okay. Is he UFC ready?
No.
It's hard to tell because I think he might be better than the Tafas.
I mean, I'll say no. No, I'm not saying if you put him in there and you fight him unranked guys, he's going to lose. I'm not saying that. I think he could win. But with how big his name is he ready to fight real heavyweights, like contenders? I don't know. Maybe not. But he needs some time, man. Like, give him a couple more fights. Like, that's what I would do. Shoot. Shit. I'm not saying being a star in the UFC is easy, but compared to boxing, it's easier to become a world champion and bounce back after a loss in UFC than it is in boxing, in my opinion. If you know, you know. That's just my opinion, though. But I don't know if he's UFC ready. I don't know.
But that's not saying much. There's a couple of options moving forward for him in his MMA career. Either he has more regional fights, he has multiple contender series fights, kind of like Bo Nickel, or they fast track him. If I'm the UFC, I want to get him on the White House card in July of 2020.
That'll be good marketing. The only reason why, Olympic gold medalist winner in wrestling, representing USA. That's why it got him big. Some, was more American than that. Being personally, I don't like this idea of a UFC event being hosted in the White House because why? You know what I mean? Just why? Like, if it was a video game, it'll look cool, but like the fact that it's actually happened, I'm like, I don't know. It's a little weird feeling about it with everything going on. I'm like, it just feels weird to me, But again, if you want to market this, yeah, I see where old boy might go with this point. Homie won an Olympic gold medal in wrestling. Wrestling is one of the biggest sports in America, amateur wrestling. Like, literally, that's why many high schools have that sport and have his team. He represented the USA and won at heavyweight. There's nothing more American than that, man. So I kind of see the point, But they can't put him with the top contenders. Not yet. Because even though he's a good wrestler, he's an amazing wrestler. We saw he won an Olympic gold medal, goddammit. But I feel like, I know he's been training in MMA for a while. He definitely got to work on that striking. So I don't know. And listen, the UFC heavyweight division is not the best right now, but they still got some heavy hitters. So we'll see.
6. So that's 9 months away, right? Maybe 2 more fights before that. Even if he isn't good, give him layups. The UFC has no big American stars right now. This is an easy win for him that a casual fan or a first-time viewer for that White House card can understand, right? He's an Olympic gold medalist. He's a good fighter. It all kind of makes sense. It legitimizes the UFC a little bit. He waves the U.S. flag around. They sing God Bless America. Cue the Eagles. So knowing the UFC, the White House card will probably be a layup that gets him ranked top 15. I have a good feeling that they'll do that after one fight. And then they will go the Sean O'Malley route, and he will fight a top 5 contender. You want to go as high up in the rankings as possible while still being a favorable matchup. What can Gable do? Wrestle. Who can't wrestle? Cyril gone. By this point in time, he'll probably have lost to Tom, and he'll sit out for another year because that's what he does. Cyril Gane wants to be a little bit of a fame whore. He wants to be an actor. He wants to be popular in France. This is how you do it on the biggest card of all time. Isn't that fun, Cyril? Oh, yes, oui. You sign him up, and Gable maybe beats him. Depending on that outcome, if he wins, he fights Aspinall in late 2027. That's the fight to make. You say John Jones couldn't fight Tom Aspinall because he's a little bit of a bitch, but his protege is right here, and he's a legit heavyweight, and he's young, and he's in his prime. And then Tom probably wallops him. But people will complain about an undeserved title shot. The UFC will say, Gane's one of the most technical heavyweights of all time. He's also a former interim champion. Isn't that crazy? Listen here, kid. How do you not give Gable Steveson a title shot? Now, I don't know the guy, but from what I can tell, Gable wants money. And that's fair. He's allowed to want money.
Right.
WWE is willing to pay guys a lot. The minimum pay for NFL players is over $800,000. Wrestling pays a notoriously low amount of money. I don't know. I don't think you get paid from the Olympics. I think you have to kind of go off of like
which is
sponsorship
crazy to me.
deals
You don't
and
want
shit.
to prize
Gable
nothing.
hasn't done a ton of. So then it seems like MMA is kind of his last resort, if that makes any sense. It's kind of the last place where he wanted to be. And I don't blame him. It's more dangerous. You get paid less. But it's also the only place where his skill set allows him to be successful. He couldn't compete in the 2024 Olympics because he was tied down with the WWE contract. I wouldn't rule out him competing in 2028. He's talented enough to do it and probably win too. But come 2028, he might be stuck in a UFC contract. So the best case scenario is that he's either a world champ by then or cut from the promotion, because it would really suck to be 1-2 in the UFC or something of that nature and be halted from doing bigger and better things by a contract. The type of contract that his friends advocate for. Let me know what you think about Gable Steveson in the comment section below. Like, comment, and subscribe for more MMA content. Shout out to Sean, a proletarian.
All right. I think MMA is his stuff, so I think he'll be successful in it. He definitely needs to work on his striking. I'm gonna go watch the fight. I watched like a couple seconds of it towards the end, so I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I didn't think it lasted that long, I believe. But yeah, Gable Steveson is something, man. The dude, it's crazy, man. You go from Olympic wrestling, you go from amateur wrestling in high school, you go to college, won the NAAC thing. I forgot what the fuck that called. I can't think of it right now, but I believe he won that. You win the Olympics. You win a gold medal in the Olympics in freestyle wrestling, the heavyweight division. Then you go on to sign to the WWE. Doesn't work out. You go to the NFL. It doesn't work out, which no brainer. You never played football in your life. And then, you go on and then boom. Now you're in the MMA career, which, again, that's the best case scenario. And who knows, maybe he could be a good heavyweight because, again, the heavyweight division in the UFC is not the best right now. Shout out to Tom Aspinall. Homie wanted to fight Jones, but Jones ducked. He ducked Francis Ngannou, and he ducked Tom Aspinall. So yeah, so we'll see where it goes. I think he could be a good heavyweight if he becomes an amazing striker. And I'm not just talking about landing a couple of punches. I'm talking about like if he was to do like kickboxing, homie would be dangerous. I just know it. And mix his wrestling in, yeah, he'll be a all around well-rounded fighter. So yeah, but let me know what y'all think about Gable Steveson, man. Like, comment, subscribe, show on notifications, and yeah, man. I'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.